What's up, everybody? How's it going? Ryan here. Today, I bring you another episode of This Week in Hearthstone. Thanks for coming by and stuff, guys. I really do appreciate it. Just an FYI, I am still a little bit under the weather and a little bit still sick. So if my mic cuts out, it is because I'm still have a pretty bad cough. And so I do apologize for that. I'm trying to edit the audio and stuff like that. And if I don't get all of it, I do apologize. So there might be some needs to, turn down the volume of the podcast a little bit, though. Actually, we have some pretty big news and announcements that are coming up through this episode. I didn't think there would actually be that many announcements or whatever, but surprisingly, it's actually like pretty good stuff. I thought this episode wasn't going to have a lot of stuff to go through and all that, but surprisingly, there's a lot of information to handle today. Just FYI, before we start every podcast, just a little information that we do record, and we record this live on twitch.tv/Ryan Kubo. That's twitch.tv/RyanKubo. So if you do want to go check that out, head on over there and you can chat amongst us and get notified every time we go live. If you guys can't make it, though, we also have audio versions of this podcast on Spotify and on iTunes. If you guys want to, you can go there and give us a follow on those, and you will be notified every time a new episode is live. So it's a great way to keep in contact, keep in touch with everything going on with This Week in Hearthstone. Anyway, let us get started. So, HCT Philadelphia happened this weekend. No new changes, remember, with the esports stuff. We talked about the esports stuff briefly last week, and just keep in mind that we will not be changing to the 2019 season until after pretty much the new rotation of cards happens. So we're still doing conquest type of mode, right? Multiple decks, bans, and stuff like that. They haven't announced the new mode yet, which is apparently going to be coming quote unquote soon. So those things are not happening. And this article is a little bit out of date because, like we'll talk about later, there were some changes that ended up happening within Hearthstone since HCT Philadelphia happened. But it's something that I wanted to talk about regardless. Death Rattle Hunter, Even Paladin, and Malagos Druid have been really strong. Shutterwalk and Even Warlock were also strong. And you can just check out this article for basically who ended up winning and how many cards that there were. But if you want to keep up to date with that type of stuff, you can as well. Unfortunately, though, like I said, we'll be talking a little bit in a bit, but some things did happen and things did end up changing within Hearthstone this week. But if you want to check out the results for that, I'll keep it spoiler free for you guys. You guys can go check that out. Next up, actually, is we have an announcement about Hearthstone in the wild format. So if you guys didn't know, in 2018 and 2017, they did do some type of support for Hearthstone's wild format. If you guys don't know what wild format is, it's a format in Hearthstone where you're able to use any card from the base set all the way up to present. There's like 15 expansions now, so there's almost 1,000 plus cards and everything. You can use any card your heart desires in that set. After your cards rotate out, they rotate to wild. You can still use them there. It's actually a really fun format, and I really have enjoyed the format for a long time. And it's super enjoyable to see other cards and to see broken combos and all that type of stuff. I enjoy it. I always tell people who haven't played Hearthstone in a while, maybe they left a year ago and they've come back. Like, what pack should I buy, or I don't want to spend a lot of money? Honestly, just play wild. There's a ton of wild decks that don't really use a lot of the new cards, or they use very few cards. You kind of just craft you just basically craft what you want. The reason being is in a card game when there's so many cards, but your deck is literally limited to 30 cards, you're going to try to pick like the best 30 or the best synergies, right? So there's a lot of cards in that format that are used. There's a lot of cards in that format that aren't used. And it's kind of what I always recommend people to do. Let's go play wild if you returned back to Hearthstone. That being said, we are having more support for Hearthstone Wild tournament. I would say this right now, if you guys are pretty enthusiastic Wild players, don't hold your breath, because as we've seen from the past, Hearthstone doesn't really give support to other formats, aka Arena and Wild. It seems like Wild gets about one tournament a month, or a year, I should say, And unfortunately, this seems to be it. They said things are about to go wild. Third ever Hearthstone Wild Open, because this year the tournament is more accessible than ever. It's online only. 2019 Wild Open will have qualification into playoffs via the Wild Rank Ladder and boast a $30,000 prize pool among the top 8. So keep in mind, it is a online only tournament. Regardless how you feel about that, I know there's some controversy between Wild players, or not Wild players, sorry, online formats and in-person formats, due with like time zone, time changes, and all that type of stuff. So I understand the sentiment. I understand the frustration. I understand why people do and don't like it. With online formats too, there are ways to cheat. There are ways to use deck trackers. There are all that type of stuff. So unfortunately, this is online only. Nice for people who can try to compete for it and be easily accessible to a lot more people though as well. But if you want to try your hand in, all you have to do is place in the top 100 for your region's wild ladder. Doing so will qualify you to participate in playoffs held for each competitive region, EU, NA, and Asia Pacific. The top 2 players from each playoff will come together for the Wild Open Finals, with China's finalists qualifying in directly from the Wild Ranked Ladder in January. So keep that in mind, it is in the January competitive season. So they have a little graphic here, but basically Wild Open qualifiers happen. The top 2 from NA, EU, and Asia Pacific, and then 2019 Wild Finals Open. So, what does this mean? So, keep this in mind that you will have details for deck submission and other playoff rules will be sent to qualified players closer to the tournament. However, you want to take note of the following dates. The Wild Open is from January 1st to 30th, 2019. Wild Open Playoffs is February 16th, 2019. And then Wild Open Finals is February 23rd, 2019. So for everyone who doesn't have those dates on you, the February 16th, 2019 is a Saturday, while the 23rd is the Saturday after that. There will be no broadcast for the qualifiers or playoffs, but that does mean that there will be a broadcast for the finals. And to confirm eligibility or more, you can check out the official rules. So, the format will be a best of 5 single elimination conquest bracket, and you will be played with 4 decks, 1 ban, and open deck lists. All players will compete on home soil, but will be able to follow them in solidarity through the tournament broadcast. And then the 8 finalists for the Wild Open will walk away with the following prizes. First place, $11,000. Second place, $7,000. Third to fourth, $3,000. Fifth to eighth, $1,500, for a total of $30,000. Unfortunately, I wish there was more support for Wild, but it will be interesting to see the amount of people who end up competing. It seems to be a little bit easier to get into it as well. So, yeah, hopefully get your hand in it, and we'll see what happens. Next up, I actually kind of wanted to go. I kind of put these out of order in your show notes, so I do apologize. But Winter Veil is coming, aka Winter Veil is here. Winter Veil has returned as of December 18th, and there's a handful of things that you can do within Winter Veil to be able to participate. So Winter Veil has a new card back that is rewarded via Tavern Brawl. The card back is called the Winter Veil Treat, and it looks like basically a gingerbread cookie. There will be 2 Tavern Brawls as well. There's one that came out this week, and there's another one that we'll talk about obviously next week when it comes out. If you get the Tavern Brawl, or if you beat the Tavern Brawl this week, you get the card back, but then next week you will get your usual pack. But if you miss out for whatever reason this week, you can't play it, or you don't win it for whatever reason, next week you will get the card back instead. Essentially giving you 2 chances to be able to obtain and get the card back, which is really, really nice. It is different from the card back that we saw the last time they gave out a Winter Veil card back. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that one is making a return. A few years ago, they had a Tavern Brawl where you could win this Christmas card back. Then they brought it back like the next year, and then after that, they didn't do Christmas for some reason, and now it's back with a new card back. So, fortunately, that old card back is not available, but if you want to, you can go and win this card back right here. Pretty cool card back. I already equipped it for Christmas time. So, yeah. Besides the 2 Tavern Brawls, there's also a quest where you play 100 cards in play mode. Wild, standard, with your friends, tavern, anything. Just play games, minus AI, of course. And you will get 4 Boomsday packs. So, keep in mind that quest does replace a quest in your quest log as well. So make sure that you have at least a spot cleared, or it's going to overwrite a quest, which kind of sucks. I wish they would do something about the UI and change that up drastically, in my opinion. Next up, there is a bundle if you guys want to buy it. It's a one-time purchase that gives you 30 packs for $20. It does not include Rosticon Rumble packs, though. It includes basically everything but Boomsday, Witchwood, Cobalts and Catacombs, Frozen Throne, and Journey to Ungoro. Keep in mind, Journey to Ungoro, Frozen Throne, and Cobalts and Catacombs will be rotating out at the beginning of March, or the new year of whatever. So keep that in mind. Might not be worth it for you. You also will be able to wish other heroes a happy feast of Wintervale with the emote. Basically, the greetings emote has been changed to that. And Ogremar and Stormwind game boards are essentially snowy. So keep that in mind if you guys want to check that out. Get a deal, get those packs. Keep that in mind. This will run. Let's see here. There's no official date on when this will run, but I'm assuming it's running until the end of the year. Next up, wanted to talk about the new Tavern Brawl that is out. This is the one that I mentioned earlier, where you can potentially win your card back from this from your first victory. It's a brand new Tavern Brawl, and it's part of the Wintervale 2018 Hearthstone event. It's a Tavern Brawl where you get to create a deck for your opponent, but you have to make your deck incredibly bad, because it says build a deck of 20 minions. We will give you 10 random spells and then gift it to your opponent. Let's see who wants to swap back. So, a couple of things about this Tavern Brawl. You do want to give bad opponents, give your bad cards to your opponent. One of the things I don't like about this deck is that you get a card called Gift Receipt. It is 5 mana, which allows you to switch decks back, and once you use it, Gift Receipt when played will also destroy your opponent's Gift Receipt. So I don't really like that. I get the concept. It's like, here's your gift, and it's like, I hate this gift, and you swap it back. The problem is, for me, is that I made just like a normal tempo mage, and I was turn 2, and I ended up coining in turn 4. Being able to get the Gift Receipt, or play the Gift Receipt on turn 4, play it, get my deck back, which is a normal deck. He now had a really crappy deck, and then your mana even refreshes back to 4 mana, and then you're able to play whatever, and then I won. So, yeah. I didn't really like that, but it's I wish the Gift Receipt wasn't in it, and you would have to just deal with, like, playing crappy cards, but I'm pretty sure they were worried about, like, players not being able to do anything, and you just having to deal with just bad cards and stuff like that, and it end up going to fatigue or something like that, right? So that would just kind of suck in general. Keep in mind as well that there is a hot fix probably coming to this, but for whatever reason, if you do use Whizbang the Wonderful in your deck or whatever, you get 30 HP, but then so you get 30 HP when both players are supposed to start at 20 HP. So for whatever reason, I don't know why that coding is like that. You'll get 10 more health than your opponent, plus you'll have a Whizbang deck. So if you want to go that route as well, you can do that. But I don't think it's as fun, but that's just me. So yeah, Tavern Brawl, it's pretty fun. Go do it, get your card back, and you will get a normal Whizbang. You'll get a normal normal pack next week if you complete this. So go grab that card back, basically. Let me take a drink of water here. Next up, we have some patch notes that I actually went through. These were actually posted like super late / super early in the morning, or in the morning on December 19th. And then they were released like 5 or 6 hours later. It was actually probably the fastest that changes have ever happened in Hearthstone. And we'll go over the changes and what they mean one by one, and then kind of go about the design philosophy or why I think they did change the cards. So, they said the balance update focused on improving the long-term health of both standard and wild. They opted to make these changes early in the expansion cycle than we normally consider. We'd love to hear your feedback, etc. So first change, Wild Growth will cost 3 mana up from 2. That's actually a pretty huge change in general. I feel like that is just like a sweeping change that will happen. And then Nourish will cost 6 mana up from 5. I think Nourish at 6 is just not going to be a card that's going to be played really at all. I don't think for 6 mana to draw 3 cards it's very good, and I don't think it's good enough to ramp up to mana efficiency that way. They said that Wild Growth and Nourish have been present in every mid-range combo and control deck or control druid deck since their introduction. When cards from basic and classics are too powerful, they can have negative long-term effects. Continuously playing against these cards can start to feel repetitive, and they can feel so mandatory. But yeah, by increasing the mana cost of both cards by 1, we expect them to be considerations in late game control druid decks, but more difficult to fit in strategies that don't directly take advantage of ramping mana. So, what does this mean? I think it means that really druid is going to come to an end. I don't think it's going to be very good, at least right now, until more cards come out. I think right now it's not dead, but it's like decent. It's all right. It could be a lot worse though as well. You're really looking at what you're really looking at is you're just looking at UI still being in the game, DK Malfurion still being in the game. I think they're going to be pretty good. Like, they're not going to be good, obviously, but they're going to be But so far, the class is pretty much toppled, and it's at a 43% win rate as of the recording of this episode. Next up, Odd Paladin got a huge nerf. Level Up will now cost 6 mana, up from 5. So if you didn't know, Level Up was a 5 mana epic card that said, give your silver hand recruits +2/+2 and taunt. The deck is totally dead now. It's now up 1 mana to 6, which means you can't even use it in Odd Paladin, and I see no reason to ever use it in Even Paladin as well. Kind of talking about this too as well, kind of segueing into another article that we won't be going over. The Vicious Syndicate was, with their meta report, was actually going to post their meta report today, but because of the changes, they decided not to. In that meta report, though, they did report that Odd Paladin was not the number 1 deck anymore, and it was actually Even Paladin, which we've seen Even Paladin slowly encroaching onto the Odd Paladin territory to counter a lot more decks. And so Even Paladin I can definitely see as being a strong deck. We'll continue on, though, with that in a bit. They said that they'll expect to be competitive board control deck just with more consistent damage. I honestly, Level Up's pretty dead. I disenchanted both of them. Odd Paladin's pretty dead, which is nice. Odd Paladin has been, the deck that got me a Golden Paladin at the same time. It's one of those decks that has consistently been in the game since the Witchwood with no new cards. No new cards at all. And I find it interesting that they decided to nerf this card, considering that 70 to 80% of the cards of Odd Paladin will be rotated out. And so they're rotating out. And it's just really interesting for me that these cards are still going to be I guess it's just interesting to me that they nerfed this card very early. I didn't think they would nerf this card. I thought they would nerf another card, but yeah, this is nerfed as well. Next up, Serenite Chain Gang now reads Taunt. Battlecry, summon another Serenite Chain Gang. Before, it used to say summon a copy of this minion, and that was an issue with Shudderwalk Shaman, because Shudderwalk Shaman, when it repeats the battle cries of everything, it would repeat Serenites, which would just create another Shudderwalk Shaman, because it's summon a copy of this minion, but now it will just summon another Serenite Chain Gang, which means you cannot do the infinite Shudderwalk combo anymore. This also takes a hit on some other cards, like Venerian, which is the Paladin card as well for Even Paladin, because it's not going to combine that. Serenite Chain Gang in Kel'Seth might be an issue too, because it's going to summon another Serenite Chain Gang instead of a copy of this minion. So that Serenite Chain Gang will not be buffed as well. I think it's still a very good card. I don't think it's going to be changed or nerfed drastically at all. I don't think it's going to affect how much it's played. Still think it's a really solid card in my opinion. Next up we have let's see here. Next up we have Leeching Poison, which has also been nerfed. It now says give your weapon lifesteal this turn, so that you're not able to constantly heal up consistently, infinitely with Kingsbane. They said they love the fantasy of building a powerful weapon over the course of a game with Kingsbane, but granting it permanent lifesteal effect with leeching poison resulting in an endgame with few weaknesses, as well as conflicting with our philosophy that rogues should not have persistent self-healing, making the lifesteal effect only active for one turn should adjust some of the power levels with Kingsbane. So they probably had statistics on this and what it was doing and affecting, but I'm just really, really surprised that they nerfed this card. I didn't expect it. It was frustrating to play against, though. So, what does this mean for the meta, right? What does this mean for the cards, and why was this nerfed so quickly? I think one of the reasons why it was nerfed so quickly is because they would probably have to wait until after Christmas break, because they do go on vacation, to make these changes and implement these changes, and they wanted some type of new, fresh meta to get people to play during the holidays. That's my opinion. I think also you're looking at there's various YouTube channels out there that show statistically how many cards are being played from the latest expansion. At this point so far, because of the power creep of Journey to Un'Goro, Kobolds and Catacombs, and Knights of the Frozen Throne, you're looking at the sets this year being very, very weak in comparison. But this metagame, the meta will be so much fun, I feel like, when all these overpowered cards rotate out, right? But Rostakon's Rumble has, I think, 18% of the cards are being played from the whole set. It's super low, and I think that this is supposed to create a more diverse meta, create it so that we are not playing the same cards over and over and over again, because literally people are complaining that this meta has not changed at all. Will that happen? I personally don't think so. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, and I don't want to get too much into it because it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But I really think that Gen Greymane and Baku the Moon Eater, the even card and the odd card, are very bad choices for this game. When just in general, hero powers have always been an issue that I have seen as unbalanced. Yes, they create cool class identity and uniqueness, but I don't feel that they are very good or healthy to make these cards super powerful, right? And to make these hero powers very powerful. I think that what we'll see is we'll just see a prominent of rising of other decks right now, or of decks that have utilized hero powers still. My prediction for aggro deck, even Shaman, will probably still be very good. I think that even Shaman is still being played right now anyway, and as well. You also need to remember that right now the deck that was untouched was Hunter. So Spell Hunter and Death Rattle Hunter are really good. Even Shaman is usually able to counter Hunters, and it has a pretty good counter against even Paladins, which I think even Paladin will be rising to prominence. I think that right now as well, you still have Odd Warriors trying to counter Hunter, and then you also see a lot of even Warlocks as well jumping through the meta, as well as Zoolock coming through as well. So you're still looking at decks that haven't really changed that much and are still from the last meta. They're just different this time around. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think are your thoughts on it and stuff. But overall, I think that you're just going to have a rise of the tier 2 decks, Odd Rogue, even Warlock, even Paladin, even Shaman, those type of decks to be able to farm cards and farm wins and all that stuff pretty easily. Luckily for you, if you haven't bought Rostakon's Rumble and you're coming back from this expansion and you have Gen or Baku, you're good. All right, last article of the episode. This is going to be just very, very short. They have updated Arena as well. Some old cards have returned, and they've removed MC Tech from Arena as well. Mind Control Deck, if you guys didn't know what that was, it says Battle Cry. If your opponent has 4 or more minions, take control of 1 random minion. I'm not an Arena player, so I don't want to pretend to be. There is a link in the episode description where you can download a snapshot of all the Arena buckets and the cards that were removed or added back. Druid, Savagery, Soul of the Forest, Mark of Nature, Hunter, Starving Buzzard, Timberwolf Snipe, Priest, Mind Blast, Lightwell, Inner Fire, Shaman, Dust Devil, Totemic Might, Windspeaker, Ancestral Healing, Warlock, Sacrificial Pack, Sense Demons, Succubus, Warrior, Warsong Commander, Charge, Rampage. Those were all added back into the game, and for cards removed from the game, neutral Mind Control Tech, right? They said minion-based combat plays a major role in the arena, and MC Tech is a 3-mana card that can unreasonably punish playing multiple minions. While we love it that there are cards that help players come back from unfavorable positions, we recognize that the high variance gameplay of Mind Control Tech could create a negative arena experience. As a result, Mind Control Tech is no longer able to be drafted. They also said the following cards will still remain unavailable in Arena. Hero cards, Quest, Whizbang, Vicious Fledging, Ancient Walker, Humongous Raider's Relief, and odd/even cards. Those are the cards that are like, if your deck has all odd cards, do this, or like Baku and again, right? It's just too hard to be able to utilize those. So, like I said, I'm not going to pretend to know those arena changes, but you guys can go look and check out those arena changes for yourself and let me know what you guys think of how impactful the arena will be. That being said, though, that is going to be it for this week in Hearthstone. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching today. As always, you guys can follow me over on my various social networking sites. Like I said at the top of the episode, we record and stream this every Thursday night, and you can go check that out at twitch.tv/RYANKUBO. If you guys want live interaction, live chat from there. We also are on Spotify and iTunes, like I said at the top of the show, so go and follow those if you guys want downloads of those episodes on audio format. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Kubo. That is RYANKUBO. All lowercase, all one word, by the way. And you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/SHIGEOS, Shigeos Twitch TV. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight, and I'll see you guys next week on This Week in Hearthstone. Take care, guys.